Kimmel was back on ABC last night. Here's how he addressed his previous comments that got him kicked off the air for a few days.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
Analysts think that his ratings were big last night, at least in the cities that could actually see him. Much of the country could not. That's because Nexstar and Sinclair decided to continue their boycott. Just a reminder, who is Nexstar? Who is Sinclair? Well, they're the two biggest local media ownership groups in the country. Nexstar owns 200 stations. Sinclair owns 185. Remember, the big networks don't actually own and operate every local station in the country. You can take WRAL, for instance. We are on NBC and on Fox, but we aren't run by NBC or Fox. They don't carry us. We carry them. And it's the same story for the 385 stations owned by Nexstar and Sinclair. This map here shows the 70 ABC stations owned by those two companies, representing 70 cities that couldn't tune in last night to see what Kimmel had to say. You see, lots of the attention from this story, from this situation, have been on ABC because we think of them as the big dog. You know, it's Disney, Marvel, ESPN, Hulu, Star Wars, Pixar. It's Mickey Mouse and overpriced cruises. But in terms of local media reach, they're a bit of a distraction from the real story. Now, most of you think the real story is Trump, and it's hard not to focus on that part of it. He has tried to silence Kimmel and other comedians and other networks and news outlets. In August, he called for the FCC to revoke ABC and NBC's broadcast licenses. In February, he kicked the Associated Press out of the White House press pool because they wouldn't use the term Gulf of America. In January, Trump posted on Truth Social upset about criticism from Seth Meyers. He said Comcast and NBC would, quote, pay a big price for this. And Trump took to Truth Social again last night after Kimmel's show. He wrote, Kimmel puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage. He is yet another arm of the DNC. And to the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. So he is arguing there that by ABC giving Kimmel a platform to speak freely against Republicans and his administration, it amounts to campaign contributions for the Democrats. Now, testing that argument, as he said, would be a novel attack on free speech and our networks. That said, it is clearly a threat, though it's far from the first. You see, networks and outlets have faced threats many times. And while Trump might be the loudest or even the brashest critic of the media, he's certainly not the first president to be vindictive. Richard Nixon famously hated the media, created an enemies list of journalists, political opponents, and celebrities. Tell me if this sounds familiar.
I would have to say that the great majority of those in the media in the Washington press corps, both television and print media, were against me. Now, the reasons for that, I think, are several. One is I'm a conservative, and an effective conservative in their view, and they are liberal.
Nixon actually tried to use the IRS to target and harass journalists who he didn't like. He was heard on a recording telling his chief of staff to, quote, pound these people. But many times, the threats didn't come from the president, much like with Kimmel. They came from the FCC. And in many cases there, the media companies fought back. I mean, notoriously, the career of Howard Stern, a massively popular radio host known for raunchy and sexual content. He was under constant pressure from the FCC. He broke records with fines in the millions, nearly got the license stripped from CBS Radio, but they fought for him. They went to court. They fought for free speech. Sometimes the media companies don't fight back. There are tons of examples of this happening, too. In 1969, CBS canceled the Smothers Brother Comedy Hour after they continued to butt heads with executives for speaking out against the war in Vietnam. In 1997, several ABC stations refused to air Ellen's Coming Out episode. They called it inappropriate content. And maybe the best example, in 2001, several ABC affiliates dropped Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher after his comments about the hijackers following 9/11, calling the U.S. military cowards, statements that eventually led to his cancellation. But I will admit, This does feel different than those examples, and I think I might know why. In 1984, the majority of America's mass media was controlled by roughly 50 independent media companies. 50 different voices, 50 companies balancing coverage and bias, politics, free speech, public trust, and 50 different opinions on how to navigate those values with profit. Today, there are 6, just 6. Here's the list. Industry experts estimate that 90% of the national media market is controlled by these 6 companies. Now, we have seen the same consolidation in local news. In 1984, there were hundreds of local news outlets with different owners. Today, there are just 5 major players, and the top 3 alone control almost half of the market. Why is this? Why did this happen? Well, the short answer is regulation. In 1984, under Reagan, the FCC relaxed the ownership caps. At the time, you could only own 7 stations. They moved that up to 12. In the 90s, under Clinton, they raised the cap again and allowed crossover, meaning you could own a TV station, newspaper, and radio station all in the same market. In the aughts, under Bush, the cap went up again, allowing individual companies to reach up to 39% of households. And in 2017, under Trump, they allowed one company to own the top 2 stations in a single market. So, here we are now in 2025, and number 1 Nexstar wants to change the rules again. They want to get bigger. They want to buy another one of those top media companies. Number 4, Tegna, meaning that they would grow and then own 264 stations. For that to happen, though, they would need the FCC and Trump. Are you starting to pick up on the possible motivation here? You know, this conversation has revolved around free speech, right? But Kimmel isn't the only one with that freedom. Companies have it too. If Nexstar doesn't want to show Kimmel, they don't have to. They may risk breaking their affiliation agreement with ABC, but if they want to take that stand, they have the right to do so. You don't have to like it, but these companies have a right to speech, to have a voice, and to use that voice to further their values, their business interests, or to close a deal. Doesn't matter. What does matter is that that voice has never been louder or more powerful. This is the primary concern surrounding media consolidation. Orwell, Bradbury, Wells, from Plato to Edward R. Murrow, Jefferson to Roosevelt, all of them warned about this. Think about it. If this were back in the 80s and Nexstar owned 7 stations, not hundreds, would ABC have followed their lead? Would the whole world be paying attention to this? Would the president have leverage? I want to remind you what this consolidation looks like with a video that went viral back in 2018 when Sinclair gave all of its stations the same must-read news promo, a clear demonstration of what media consolidation can look like.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Tell me what you think. I know a lot of you feel passionately about this topic, and I'm glad you do. It is a big one. Give me your thoughts. Email Dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.